Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. The Miami Dolphins schedule is out. Delightful. I got to tell you, though, the schedule release, bit of a dud by the Dolphins. They could have gone, I think we all knew where they were going to go once they were like, oh, Cheetah, executive producer. Pretty obvious you go some way that, hey, it's the fastest team in the league. Dude, you could have done at least a slideshow of the teams, and that would have been better production. I'm about game ops. It would have been better production than what they had with Mostert and Tyreek Hill. It stunk. It stunk. Even Javon Holland was like on Twitter thinking that it stunk. And it's fine. Like, not everything has to be this creative genius, but it kind of feels like you half-assed the idea. Like, if you're going to do it, shoot something at F1 the day in the weeks beforehand, or let's get a little special effects going, or let's have some of their best runs to the team. Like, let's go. You know, I've seen the Dolphins do some pretty good things on social media. I can't believe they dropped the ball on this one. It was like, I was like, wait, what? Like, I went, I'm like, not even like a slideshow of the logos. You went straight up like it's a movie credits at the end of TNT where they're trying to get to the game, and it's like, huh? It was a poor job. But I got to tell you, juicy schedule. A lot of things going to get proven, especially on it is interesting how this almost lines up to be not exactly like last year, because last year, I mean, they had a lot more home games to end the season. But it's interesting how it feels like the juicier matchups are in the second half of the season, but everything's got its own little quirk to it. I will give you the top 5 most interesting Dolphin games to me. These are strictly to me. There'll be games probably with more stakes. There'll be games where you could argue what's what, and I'm not going to do all. There are primetime games on my list. I didn't want to do all primetime games on my list, but these are the ones that are most interesting to me. Number 5 on my list is Week 11 hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think everybody with a brain in their head knows why, and it's obviously the Christian Wilkins revenge game. Christian Wilkins is a menace. They let him walk for nothing. All right, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of storylines that week with Mike McDaniel. There's going to be a lot of storylines that week with Christian Wilkins talking about it. You know, there's been some comments, but we really, how shocking it is that he is going to be playing in another jersey this year stings. It stings. And not only that, the dude is an antagonist. I mean, we remember what this man did to Josh Allen time and time again. Now, there was so many wins, but Josh Allen really, really hated playing against this guy. I'm not putting those losses on Christian Wilkins, but he really, really was annoying to other coaches. Now, hopefully he finds Patrick Mahomes in that division to be his new guy that he could just raise hell for. But you do have to wonder a little bit with Tua going into this matchup and having to face Christian Wilkins on the other side. Practice, he never really got to hit Tua, all right? Never got to go after Tua. And the other part of that is this is an offensive line that he knows pretty well. And, you know, some have said that he's tortured him in practice before and broken the confidence of others in the Dolphins defensive and the Dolphins offensive line. Excuse me. Does got to go up against his BFF Zach Sealer. Not go up against him, but you guys know what I mean. Like they'll be facing off as foes for the first time. So Week 11, hosting the Raiders. Number 5, most interesting game to me. All right, number 4, Week 9 at Buffalo. Now, you may ask, Tobes, why is it not Week 2 versus Buffalo? I'll tell you why. First of all, it's Week 2. All right? We're in the teeth of the season, and it's going to go one of two ways. You're going to either be 2-0, everyone's going to say, whatever, beat the Bills, but it's so much season to go. The Bills were able to catch up to you and nip at your heels last year. Or you're going to lose to the Bills early on, and you can't get too crazy about it. So from my standpoint, Week 9 is going to be more critical because you're either going to sweep the Bills, unless there's a tie. You're either going to sweep the Bills, which seems, just improbable. I couldn't even imagine a year where they sweep the Bills. Or it's your last crack to get even at them. Or if you have the unfortunate demise of losing and dropping to 0-2 against them, that monkey is going to be on your back all season long. So week 9 at Buffalo, where they never win, week 9 at Buffalo is a lot more interesting to me than week 2 hosting Buffalo. The juices will still be flowing. It'll still be goosies galore. But for me personally, I look at that week 9 matchup as the more critical one. It'll be less interesting if the Dolphins have a win in their back pocket, but if they don't, that's now I did do That's a Win, That's a Loss today on the radio show, which, by the way, you guys should go subscribe. Tobin and Leroy, weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 560 WQAM YouTube page. We went over the entire slate, but I'm giving my 5 favorites, 5 most interesting games of this slate. Now, the next one is a primetime game, and it is what I like to call the exorcism, okay? Last year, all goes back. All hell, all pain, all misfortune leads back to Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans. And I don't know how the hell this happened. This almost seems like ESPN mocking the Miami Dolphins, because it's like, hey, they get to do that game all over. Because it's not a particularly interesting matchup, right? Like, Dolphins, Titans, what? Really? We're doing that again? Somehow, this has ended up once again Monday Night Football. And it's for one reason, and one reason alone, is because they want to keep showing that comeback non-stop. They're going to show it 100,000 times non-stop. We're going to see that damn comeback and the Dolphins being up a bunch of points and everybody thinking that they're going to be winning this game and everybody's celebrating. And this game to me it's a bit of an exercise. Look, there's not really a rivalry there. I don't even know how good the Titans are going to be. They do have L'Jarius Sneed, which is almost like a little cheetah, and Cheetah got hurt in this game. Again, this is like bring your holy water, bring your whatever you bring to exorcise the demons in your particular spiritual realm. This is what this is. This is like to get, if you win this game, it's almost like, all right, get that stink of last year and the collapse behind you. So that's why it's one of the interesting ones for me. There's other competition that tried to sneak in there, but for me personally, it's gonna be important to get the demons away from the Miami Dolphins, and it is a big one. Week 4, Monday Night Football at home. Okay, number 2 on my list is another primetime game, but it's on a holiday. And I think everybody knows where I'm going here. The Green Bay Packers, Thanksgiving, on the road, 8:20 p.m. Second most interesting game for me. It is November 28th. Now, I've been told by my, sources of guys who have played in that weather, Leroy Horde, he has told me it may not be the coldest time of year at that time. It might not be, frigid, frozen tundra type bad. But I think we expect Green Bay to be pretty decent this year. And one of the big things with the Miami Dolphins that's just on paper, all right, I'm just looking at what I got here. On paper, I think the Dolphins can fatten up their record pretty good in the early goings of this season. I think. Depends how things go versus Buffalo. But I do think that if you look basically up until, really all the way up to this game, you have a record that if things break well, you think even getting guys healthy, I think the Dolphins could have a pretty fat record by the time they get to this Thanksgiving matchup. But then the last 6 weeks of this season, are no joke. No friggin' joke. And you think about the Tua narratives, the Dolphins narratives. Good team, on the road, prime time. That'll be a short week for the Dolphins, who had not had that. The Dolphins have a pretty early bye. It's week 6. So there's not going to be a lot of rest. That's a tough turnaround for the Miami Dolphins. It could be a big statement. You have a draft class matchup between Tua and Jordan Love and where things stand there. And this is going to be the ones where, like, for everybody who's a pundit about Tua and wants to say, like, hey, do you give him his money? Do you not give him his money? There's been some interesting stuff that's come out about either they're far apart or the Dolphins want a lot of this to be a very incentive-laden deal, all this type of stuff. You look at the tail end of this schedule and you think to yourself, yeah, maybe we should just have Tua prove it through the season. Like, if Tua can prove and can take this team, and I know it's just him alone, but if he could take this team through this gauntlet of Green Bay, Houston, San Francisco, and then my final one, which I'll get to here, then it's like, oh, okay, we trust that this guy can really carry him through a run. If you don't, then you figure out, I guess, your situation from there. Which, by the way, I will say, as an aside, all the talk of Tua and being lean, and I saw this picture on Instagram of him. Lean cat dude. Does look like he is absolutely losing a lot of weight, getting himself in fantastic shape, and that's pretty awesome. But the most interesting game to me, which is in the realm of the Green Bay, because the Green Bay game, primetime, good team, on the road, all eyes on you guys, will set the right tone for these last 6 weeks of the season. Short week, a lot of adversity you would think going in there. I don't know what the situation will be, obviously, with the return of your defenders and all that type of stuff, and who will be back, who won't be back, but that one just feels like a monster to me. It does. Thanksgiving at Green Bay. Cannot wait. Looking forward to that one. But the one that, honestly, I'm most intrigued by, and it's pretty much an elements thing, is Week 17. Sunday Night Football. For now, Sunday Night Football against the Cleveland Browns. And you're looking at it, December 29th. You do not have a Buffalo game this year. You get Buffalo in early November. You get New England. You get that road game out of the way in October. The Jets, New York's a weird place. You don't really know, but you imagine that's not going to be the best type of atmosphere weather-wise, but it's also like not an intimidating place to play. You have MetLife take over. Dolphin fans basically make it their little home up there, and I imagine if that's a game that actually has some juice to it, there's going to be a ton of Fin fans there as well. But Cleveland, I don't think that they're going to play that game. And it's tough because I don't really even know how good Cleveland's going to be because I don't know how good Deshaun Watson is anymore. I do know that they have maybe the scariest guy in the league with Myles Garrett now that Aaron Donald retired, that they may have the scariest man in all of football, which is going to be a big test for this offensive line and for Tua to get away from it, all that. And they're very, very physical. They're always just very, very physical, and they were able to withstand losing Joe Flacco last year, losing many quarterbacks, had a resurging Joe Flacco last year. And yeah, Sunday Night Football, prime time, playoff race, could dictate where things are by the end of that year. The temperature, the atmosphere, the time, all of that stuff. That to me is what makes it the most interesting game to me for next year. Some may argue, no, Tobin, San Francisco. I get you with San Francisco, but San Francisco's at home. It's at 425. Things should be in your favor there, right? Like, it's a tough matchup. San Francisco will probably be really good, but it is in your building, and the Dolphins are typically very, very good at home. They are. They have been great at home with Mike McDaniel, and Tua has been very good at home. I'm intrigued on the road, at night, in the cold. Probably a decent team at the worst. Physical team. What can you do against them? That, to me, is like, you want to show me what you can do in the playoffs? Go win that game. Go win that game. So those are the five most interesting games to me. Okay? You can disagree. That's okay. Hit the comments, whatever you want. Number 5, Week 11, Christian Wilkins revenge game coming. Week 9, at Buffalo. Week 4, the exorcism game, hosting Monday Night Football, Week 2, Green Bay on Thanksgiving in Green Bay, and then Week 17 at Cleveland.